Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Kayfabe Central podcast of the headlines in pro wrestling this week. This is episode 27 of the headlines in pro wrestling this week. I am your host, Josh. As always, joining me is Ruan Wrestling.
Hey guys.
If you are new here, welcome to the channel. If you're returning, you know how this works. We go through all the latest TV recap and news and drama and gossip in the world of professional wrestling. We break that all down here on the headlines in pro wrestling this week. Before we get into that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. If you're not already, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, and interviews that come to the channel. Check out the Kayfabe Central website as well. All my coverage posts, articles, written predictions are over there. So make sure you guys go check out the Kayfabe Central website. There's also a group and community section over there. So if you guys want to leave any leave any questions you have, wrestling related questions for me on the group and community section, feel free to do that. We also have the Kayfabe Central Discord server, which I kept forgetting to promote the past couple videos. So go check out the Discord server if that's something that interests you. If you want to build a community within Kayfabe Central about wrestling, or we even have a non-wrestling channel in there as well. So go ahead and check that stuff out. Um, yeah, we have a lot of things to talk about and dive into today. A lot of stuff went down, a lot of TV recap. We're going to be talking about um, Ring of Honor Final Battle at one point as well. I didn't actually watch the show. I just saw the results. I didn't really get the time to watch the show. Um, part of me was hoping I could get to watch it this morning, but I woke up at 11 in the morning, so that didn't happen. I didn't really get the time, but I do have all the results that went down. And I didn't really feel a need to go over final resolution on here since I did that post show last night. So if you guys want to know my thoughts on that, go over and check out the combo edition of the SmackDown review and the final resolution review. Um, and YouTube also has this feature. So if for anyone that watches our podcast or listens to our podcasts, for, a specific topic or whatever the case may be, YouTube has this feature where you can like go into the description and summarize the video, and it sometimes gives you timestamps to go to a specific time frame in the video. So I spoke about TNA Final Resolution at the end, so you just go over and um, go to the timestamp and you can see my TNA Final Resolution review if you just want to skip through the SmackDown portion of it. Um, but yeah, with that all that out of the way, let's dive straight into the headlines. So we're starting with some unfortunate news this week. We saw the news and heard the news that CM Punk and AJ Lee's dog Larry has unfortunately passed away. Um, Larry has become a wrestling legend, over the course of the last 10 years. He was a rescue dog that CM Punk and AJ rescued and took care of them. Um, it's always sad when a dog passes away. I am a dog person myself. I have a dog, two of them actually, and it's always sad to see this happen. And it's the saying like we don't deserve dogs. A dog is a man's best friend, and I can assume that this happened within like the last week or so, not when they actually announced it, based on the clip that WWE posted of CM Punk's entrance at Survivor Series, where he was wearing the Larry's Dad jacket. You can kind of see on CM Punk's face, he knew, and he already knew the news at that point. So keep in mind he was wrestling with that in mind as well. And he got pinned that night as well. So it wasn't a great night for CM Punk that night. But it's always unfortunate to see this kind of news. So rest in peace to Larry. I hope CM Punk and AJ are doing their best to get through this because it's never easy losing an animal that you just dedicate your love and your life to. So yeah, all the best wishes go out to them.
I don't know, we'll start with this. Yeah, RP Larry. Yeah, it's sucky news. A part of one of the best storylines, a figurehead of it. of the last decade or so, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre was a spearhead in there for Drew to be a mean, horrible bastard. But yeah, RP Larry, the thoughts go out to CM Punk and AJ Lee. Hope they're doing okay in this kind of horrendous time.
Yeah. Um, I do think that this is going to be used in a promo at some point.
Probably.
Um, it's either going to be Bron Breakker or maybe, like you said, Drew McIntyre maybe brings it up. Um, like Bron Breakker's going to say something like, "Oh, the dogs are barking, but Larry's not," or something like that. I
Yeah,
already know that's gonna go down. And then CM
I
Punk
see
gets
it.
pissed off or whatever. Obviously that's something that CM Punk has to give the green light for, and I'm pretty sure that um, they would go down that route. I don't think CM Punk would, he's a professional at the end of the day. He's someone who says a lot of things himself on the microphone. Um, that we know in the past he has not gotten the green light for and still said it, and still done things. So, I can definitely see that being used in a promo down the line. So yeah, rest in peace to Larry. Hopefully, CM Punk and AJ are doing their best, and that probably explains why they weren't on Monday Night Raw after Survivor Series, or maybe CM Punk was also like beaten up and bruised or whatever. Um, I am expecting Punk to be on the next episode of Raw potentially, this coming Monday. So, uh, yeah. Speaking of CM Punk and Bron Breakker, though, on January 5th, Bron Breakker is challenging CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship. I didn't expect them to do this. I didn't expect this match to happen. So we talked a little bit about this before on what they're gonna do to open 2026. If they're gonna do like a day one special episode or the New Year's resolution or whatever. Actually, I think New Year's Revolution is usually like the SmackDown that they do, the SmackDown special. But it seems like they're just treating this as the 1 year anniversary of premiering on Netflix. So Braun Breaker and CM Punk face for the World Heavyweight Championship. I don't expect Braun Breaker to win the title here. I still expect CM Punk to win. I will say I don't want this to be something that carries on for like months after this. Which I don't think it will. There's a lot of other parties involved in this storyline that are definitely going to be thrown in there, like Brock Lesnar. And I God forbid Jey Uso gets thrown in here as well. But I think that I don't want it to drag out so long. And them doing this on the January 5th episode makes me think that Punk and Breaker isn't the plan for WrestleMania for the world title. Unless it is, and they take the most boring route possible, where Breaker loses this match, but then wins the Rumble, but then and then finally wins it at WrestleMania. That doesn't really make sense for somebody like Braun Breaker, especially when you're backed by the Vision. Um, he will win that World Heavyweight Championship at some point in time, but I I don't think that's the route that they're going to take for the January 5th episode. I also think that I also don't think Braun Breaker is going to win the Royal Rumble. I think that's going to end up going to Roman Reigns, who wins the Rumble. That seems like the route that they're taking. Um, yeah, and he's probably going to end up challenging Cody as well, which is not the most interesting thing in the world, and I don't really care for it. Um, and then in terms of Punk, I see him ending up, probably facing Brock at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship. Um, but yeah, in the end, I don't think Braun Breaker wins the world title on the January 5th episode.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I would definitely say compared to like at another person at another time of year, there's definitely a higher chance of Braun winning here just because of what it is. But I'm with you. I don't foresee Braun winning here. The only thing I'll put around an asterisk around that would be because I know there's been rumblings of it if he's fit of them running Rollins and Breaker at Mania. Potentially, if that is the plan and they know that Seth is going to be okay and good to go for that show, um, maybe that's what they do, but obviously we're not going to know that. We're never going to know that. So just from what I can see in front of me, I don't see not Brock, sorry, Braun winning the World Heavyweight Championship here. Potentially where we find out the masked assailant, potentially, maybe, who knows? But yeah, I'm with you on that one. I don't foresee it happening.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to bring up as well. The
Mhm.
masked person. That's definitely something they're going to be dragging out until more than likely this January 5th episode of the new year. So, and they are really playing into the fact that, oh, Seth Rollins didn't have his sling on. And I'm leaning a little bit more towards that. We're going to see Seth Rollins back sooner than we thought we would. And he just might be back for WrestleMania. I think you brought that up on a recent podcast as well. And I'm completely fine with Rollins and Breakker being at WrestleMania. I think that makes sense. Um, it's going to be intriguing, and I don't know how interesting it would be if it were Seth Rollins being the masked person. And I think it's ultimately going to end up being Austin Theory. I saw someone pitch the idea that it could potentially be three different people under a mask, and it ends up being a whole new faction or whatever. Um,
Division Point 2,
yeah,
led by Seth Rollins, like the Nexus.
the idea was actually that the Messiah Seth Rollins comes back, and
Oh,
we
okay.
get Austin Theory and Buddy Murphy alongside him, and I can definitely see that happening. While I wasn't the biggest fan of the Messiah character, maybe it can work in this environment a little bit better. Because obviously I know that was during the pandemic era and nothing was good in that era of wrestling. So, um, yeah, maybe that happens, and or maybe it's just Austin Theory. And the thing with Austin Theory, as much as I like him, I don't think he's someone that's a big of a name to drag this out for that long. And I don't think it's going to be a massive pop and reveal if you drag it out until this January 5th episode. I even think if it was Seth Rollins, people would be like, okay, that's kind of underwhelming. Um, but because he's played that trick before, I don't think anybody would really be interested in seeing that again because, the next time, he does get injured, and nobody's gonna believe him at all. And I don't, and obviously we know he's legitimately injured this time, but um, yeah, it's gonna be a weird one to watch out for and who this masked person is. Uh, but yeah, that's happening on the January 5th episode of Monday Night Raw, the first Raw of 2026. Um, so obviously I do my Monday Night Raw post shows, but we can get into well, at least one specific thing that I wrote down, and that's the fact that we could be getting the low-key legend Neidhart back because we had a vignette with her and Maxine Dupri, and it seems like she's going to be coming back as a heel. I actually think that excuse me, that Natty's going to be the one to take that title off of Maxine. Um, Ivy Nile, by the way, just came out of nowhere and is like, I deserve a shot. Like, okay, you haven't been here in like 7 months, but sure. You deserve a shot. I think Maxine ends up beating Ivy Nile, but then Natty comes back and we eventually get Natty finally winning a title after years because nobody really remembers her SmackDown Women's title reign. And this is going to be a different side of Natty that anybody is accustomed to. Obviously us like that watch everything. We know who Natty is. We know what she does there. We know how much of a badass she is when she has this gimmick. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, but I think the goal here is to get the IC title on Natty.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. Obviously when Maxine first won it, we were trying to pitch on who it could be. We didn't know Natty was going to come back, and more specifically, we didn't know Natty Neidhart was going to be coming. Yeah, I'm totally with you. I was laughing because I did find it funny as well. Whether Ivy now was like she waited until the belt got taken off of Becky and she's like, "Hey, I'm back now." But yeah, I think the situation you just kind of predicted there, I think is probably what will happen. I imagine Maxine will probably pick up the win over Ivy, and then Natty, whether she's already out there with Maxine or she comes out after the match, whatever, will turn. And yeah, I think it's on. It's going on to Natty. I'm pretty certain. She's like, and that's the thing. Like, I've always thought I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm like, oh my god, she's the best of all time. But she is very, very good at what she does. And I think she kind of got ladled with that almost Dolph Ziggler-esque issue was she was so good, and she would do anything the office would want that she didn't get the chance to step up and do because she was so good at looking after the younger talent or looking after the new girls that came in. So it was good to be able to see a different side of Natty. And from what I've heard in reports that the office is very, very impressed with her work that she's been doing as Natty Nitro. So I'm all for it. I'm really happy for her.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything else on Monday Night Raw that you wanted to talk about or break down?
Oh, Raw. Ooh, I mean, I know we kind of spoke about him. Just I was just saying that promo by Bron. Oofed, oofed.
Really good
What a
promo.
promo.
Really good promo.
Yeah, that is. I think that is the thing that's going to be shown. 10 years down the line when he's a multi-time world champion and feuding with Javon Evans, who's the next Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. That's what's going to be stuck in the video package and Braun's mic drop moment. Oh, it was fantastic. I actually, honestly, I don't even know in the background because as much as I was watching Braun, I was watching Bronson, Paul, and Logan more. And I genuinely don't even think Paul's reaction, like Paul Heyman, not Logan, was was even scripted. I think he was legit like, "Go on, go on, Braun, let's do it." I think that was like a genuine like pop moment to be like, "Yes." Because you can imagine Heyman's probably heavily involved with how they do their promos and how the story is unfolding. So he's probably sat there being like, "Oh fuck yeah." Like, you just know it was. So no, it was fantastic. It was exactly what Broad needed.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as he cut that promo, I'm like, oh, this
Yeah.
man is
Yeah.
certified to be a world champion, a multi-time world champion.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
the promo was just so good. He was fired up. Um, and I'm excited to see when him and Punk go like actually face to face in a promo. That's gonna be a really good
Oh yeah.
segment because Braun is just he's in his bag right now and he's cooking at the moment and he's doing the best work he's ever done, and it's only going to get better. So, like you said, it is a very good possibility that Braun does beat Punk on January 5th. And, um, like, while it's not, the most likely thing, and I don't think it's going to happen, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Especially after this promo, I can see the guys in the back being like, oh, okay, wait, he's serious. And, he might be able to carry that world title if he, is cutting promos like this. And, um, like obviously it's very different, cutting a promo like in front of the camera and rather than, face to face with CM Punk. So that's why I'm excited to see
Yeah.
the face to face confrontation and how that goes down. Because they're just gonna go raw and unfiltered in that segment because of the things that Bron Breakker said. Um, but it like we mentioned, it very well could be Seth that ends up coming back and costing Bron Breakker because of what he said in that promo about Seth and Becky as well. He made sure to mention them. And we've seen in the past Seth Rollins does not play about his family. And you mention his family, he's going to come after you. And I can see that being the case, whether that be the next couple weeks or on the January 5th episode. Um, but yeah, other than that, there wasn't anything else much on Raw for me that I can remember off the top of my head to talk about. Um, obviously, we talked about NXT a little bit with the NXT deadline predictions. So just some things to like go over once more quickly. And then something we didn't talk about in a little bit I'll get into. Obviously, Dion Lennox giving the NXT tag titles to Saquon Shugars. We talked about that a little bit on the deadline predictions, and how it seems like they're setting up Dion Lennox to be a main event guy. Kind of makes him look like the de facto leader in a way as well.
Yeah.
Um, Even though, technically Dark State doesn't have a leader, that's what they say at least, but it kind of seems like that's the role he's playing. And as time is going on, and as we get closer to the deadline, there's a thought playing in the back of my mind that even if Ricky Saints retains the NXT title, Dion Lennox still might win. Because I was thinking about this, and he gives the title to Saquon Sugars. What if he loses his Iron Survivor challenge? Does he ask for the title back? Like, does he like, oh, okay,
A
I'll
good
I'll take
point.
the tag title back now. So I'm giving it a much better chance that Dion Lennox does win this. I'm still gonna stick with Javon Evans. I'm gonna stick with that prediction, but I'm giving Dion Lennox much more chances here to win the match tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% with you. I didn't even consider it what you've just said and taking it from a logic just point of view. Actually, what does he do if he loses? It's not something I even took into consideration. So, yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the competitors in this match, I would have said Dion Lennox probably was the dark horse, ironically not dark state. Anyway, I mean, particularly also being wait as well when you look at it from a point of view. I mean, we spoke about the fact Ricky never seems to fight heels. If you look at this match, he's the only heel in the Iron Survivor match. So if Ricky was to win, I mean, he can fight. So I'm with you. I think though generally like it comes down to I think Javon and Dion. As a Joe, I'm not. I don't think Joe. I think he's got plans for the NXT North American Championship. Leon TNA, he's got stuff going on. Miles, I'm a bit iffy on. I don't really know. I know you said he could also potentially be chucked into the NXT North American Championship. I think that's most likely for him. So I think it really does come down to Javon and Dion. And yeah, I mean, I'm generally. It's like I know I said I'd take the piss out of Dark State a lot, and a lot of time I think it's valid, but this is generally something I'm interested in as a solo push for D, and I'm cool with that.
They need more heels in NXT.
Oh yeah,
They're lacking the heels in NXT, at least for the men's division specifically. They're
mm,
lacking a lot of heels, and even kind of in the women's division also. It feels like it's more babyface dominated. And like obviously they give every superstar in NXT the trial run of being a heel. Um, but like you need to start pushing these heels to the forefront and actually have a babyface versus heel feuds. Like I don't understand why Josh Briggs is doing nothing at all. And like Dion Lennox is a good start, because I think he can go in the ring. But man, like why couldn't you have Josh Briggs in this match? And why couldn't like obviously Ethan Page is the North American title and has as North American champion, sorry. Um, and you don't really have any other heels to put at that forefront. So I think you need to start turning some people and building some more heels and have a more balanced dynamic rather than having a babyface versus babyface dynamic almost every single time, because I mentioned it before, Obafemi's not a heel, he's not a babyface, he's a
yep,
tweener. So that doesn't count. While he can feud with either a face or a heel, he's not either or right now. He's just a big dude who will beat up anybody. Um, and like if you were to ask me, I feel like he's more on the babyface side than anything. But he's just a no BS kind of babyface.
yep,
Um, and like you look at Ricky Saints, can you blame the Obafemi for not liking Ricky Saints? He just has a very punchable face.
yep,
And I think I mentioned this on the deadline predictions. Ricky Saints, I think, should be a heel. Um, and uh that kind of leads me into something else that I don't have written down that I actually wanted to dive into before um, we get into that, because on SmackDown last night, we had Cody Rhodes tell Obafemi and Ricky Saints that whoever wins at Deadline tonight will be facing him at Saturday night's main event next week. I think that um, I'm more confident in Ricky Saints retaining tonight
Yep.
if that's the case, because again, you don't need to establish Obafemi. Obafemi is Obafemi. We're all expecting him to be on the main roster. It doesn't make sense for you to um, have Obafemi beat Ricky Saints, but then lose to Cody Rhodes. I think you keep Obafemi as his own. Unfortunately, have him lose to Ricky Saints again, but then call him up to the main roster in his own way. And then Obafemi is the more known, I feel, between Ricky and himself. Um, have Ricky and Cody have that match at Saturday night's main event. They already have the chemistry together. They're gonna put on a good match, and then it'll put a lot of people on notice about Ricky Saints. And then you'll have people having the conversation, be like, okay, maybe Ricky Saints can come up to the main roster soon as well. So overall, I think Ricky's just the better option to go with. I still don't think Ricky and Oba should be having the match tonight, but it's happening, and I think Ricky's the best option.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I heard this announcement, I was a lot more confident in Ricky winning. More from anything, to be truly honest. This is more of just a slight biased view on it. If Obo takes on Cody, he needs to beat him. Like, just that's just my opinion on it. Like, I just don't see a world where. I mean, I can see a world where WWE would book Cody to go over Obo. I don't see a world where, in reality, you should. Whereas at least with Ricky, I could see that working a bit better, at least for the two of them. And as you said, if Oba was to win, he'd just go and lose to Cody after beating Ricky, and I don't know, it just doesn't. A lot of it doesn't seem right. So yeah, I'm with you. I think I'm a little more confident in being Ricky, but as you said, that comes back to the fact that why are we having this tonight? Oba's going to lose to Ricky unless what you're saying it has been put in mind. Does Ricky turn heel tonight to win? Maybe. I don't
I
really
don't think
see it.
so. I don't
Yeah,
think so.
I don't think so either. Um, it's just I'm just trying to think. I mean, the logic here is that there is no logic, and that's the issue. I'm just trying to put logic to why we are having this match to begin with, and I can't find any, and that's what's annoying.
Yeah, I think that it's what seems like the route that they're going on is once again babyface versus babyface at Saturday night's main event, because they also announced Bailey versus Sol Ruca on that show as well. So, um, yeah, I don't think Ricky Sainz is turning heel anytime soon. He should. It wouldn't make sense if he did it on Obafemi unless he wins by like hitting Obafemi over the head with the
Yeah.
title. But Jesus Christ, how many times are we going to see that across many promotions? Um, so, we literally saw it last night with the X Division Championship match with Leon Slater and AJ Francis, um, and Rich Swann turning babyface. Um, but yeah, there's that. Mr. Iguana obviously committed theft and didn't get any punishment for it because Ava just didn't care.
I was gonna say Cody. Well, we might get into it. Cody stealing a leaf out of Mr. Iguana's book. By the
Yeah.
way.
Yep. Well, I mean, at least Cody didn't drive off in Drew's car.
True.
He just entered without consent, which I believe is still illegal. At least here in Canada, it's illegal. I can't just go in anybody's car.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure in America it would be illegal as well.
I think it's
Um,
illegal here too. Well, I'll take a wild guess.
Speaking of Ava, though, this is something we didn't speak about on the deadline predictions.
Mm.
She got mail, from so Robert Stone brought
That's the way you said
the
that.
most
She got mail.
uninspiring way, the most uninspiring way to enter this segment. Um, so Robert Stone brings Ava's mail to her because quite literally that's what it was, and it was already opened. And it was kind of funny with like Javon and Leon trying to see what was in the box or whatever, just like a bunch of like little kids. Um, but she opens it, and the way they filmed this was god awful because you can't really tell what it is inside the box. My guess is that this has something to do with Tony D'Angelo, and that may be Tony D'Angelo's hat because we also had something at the end of this NXT episode where during the contract signing between Ricky Saints and Obafemi, behind Ava, there was like a video of a bridge, and it's the bridge that Tony D'Angelo is known for.
Ah.
Um, and um, that could also be a hint that Tony D'Angelo is coming back. So I think that, you know, we're gonna get Tony D'Angelo returning tonight at the end of Deadline and
Mm.
potentially confronting Ricky Saints or attacking Ricky Saints in some shape or form. I think that happens tonight on Deadline. And I think that's what the gift was for Ava.
That is such a good because when we went into this, I was actually like I don't actually know who it could have been or what it was referencing. That's a really really good shout. Because I think we brought up even just the other week there. I think yourself, me and Stu were like, where the hell is Tony D'Angelo
Yeah.
gone? So that's a really good shout. Wonder if because obviously Obon and Ricky's going on first, and they made a big deal out of it. Maybe that is to have. I don't know, obviously because Dan Survivor thing's going on last. Um,
Oh shit, yeah.
but
Yeah, so he's probably
maybe,
not. Yeah.
maybe that's why because it's like that's the whole thing is that you either want to be in the last match or the first match. That's where you want big things to happen.
Yeah.
Maybe actually, I think it's a great show. More than anything, I just said well not or where it happens, who knows? But because I couldn't even begin to think who it was when it was shown.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think that's an amazing show because who else could it be?
Yeah. I yeah, completely forgot Oba and Ricky are kicking off the night, but like you said, it could happen in that Ricky and Oba match, or it could just be one of those things where the Iron Survivor match ends, we're about to close the show, and then boom, Tony D comes out and closes Deadline on a cliffhanger. Um, and I think that option is more than likely, and then we see him confront Ricky on like NXT or something like that. Um, man, Tony D'Angelo's never going to the main roster though.
I know
Um,
that's where I thought he was going.
yeah, you know what? If realistically, if he goes to the main roster, he's going to be there for a year or two, and he's going to end up getting released.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
at least in NXT, he has stability, and he'll be there for a while. And we talked about it before. I don't know how well the Dawn gimmick is going to work, if he even returns with that gimmick,
Yeah.
because um, if that was his hat, maybe that's a sign that he's coming back with a different gimmick. Um, and maybe hopefully he finds Stack's Heritage Cup and maybe just comes out of a lake with the Heritage Cup in hand or something like that. Um, but yeah, that's gonna be interesting. But I do think that Tony D'Angelo is gonna end up returning tonight at Deadline. Um, yeah, because and it makes sense because the before Ricky, the last person that pinned Obafemi was Tony D'Angelo at a Deadline PLE. So
Hmm.
that is a very good possibility that, we have that reoccurrence there.
That is a great mind of the business there. Because I forgot that, and you're totally right. I completely forgot as well that Tony D is the only other one than Ricky to pin over,
Yeah.
which is still kind of mental. When I look back
Yeah.
at it, I couldn't believe it when he won the NXT North American Champion. Yeah, that's a good shout. Because I'm also with you. I'm worried about Tony D. At the end of the day, and I've said it before, I am not a fan of the whole mob boss gimmick simply because that is just a section of cinema that doesn't interest me. I'm not into like mob movies and stuff like that. So I've always been a bit just I feel mean saying I don't care, but I didn't really care. But I don't want someone to not succeed. That's just I'm not that much of an arsehole.
Yeah.
So
Unless it's
I
Cutler
think
James.
unless it's Carla James, he can Carl James is he's too far gone. But Tony D, I think he should probably come back with a gimmick change, and not just because that's personally what I would like. Because I agree with you, I don't think the gimmick's going to work in the main roster, and I just say give him a year or two, and he'll be gone. And like, what's the point of anything?
Yeah. Um, so yeah, that's the Tony D stuff. Um, yeah, so a lot of things to look forward to on Deadline tonight. Um, let's talk about some AEW stuff because I didn't do an AEW Dynamite post show. My nose is running again, guys, so I apologize. I'm still recovering from being sick, but I am feeling a lot better. So, um, we had some updated AEW Continental stuff, specifically Claudio Castagnoli defeating John Moxley, which I completely expected to happen. I figured that was going to be the case, and um, I actually think that they might potentially swerve us a little bit, not Strickland. They might swerve us a little bit, and Claudio Castagnoli gets to the finals of this tournament. Um, I think it's a very good possibility that happens. I still think ultimately it's going to be Takeshita and Okada in the finals. Um, so we had that. You look like you had something to add on to that, so I'll let you go.
No, you like sold me on an idea while you were saying that there. That's why, because I didn't consider it. I think I want to see that. I want to see Claudio go to firstly just Claudio and Okada. What that would be a hell of a match, just to sit separately.
God.
I'm now sold. I'm completely sold on that idea. Just off this 10 seconds of you saying that, Claudio going and beating Okada, bringing the gold to the Death Riders, being like, I can get it done. You can, Moxley.
If that happens, I think Claudio ends up being the leader of the Death Riders. And I know, I'm sorry, guys, I keep going all over the place with who's going to be the new leader of the Death Riders, but after Wednesday, the way that Claudio beat Moxley, pinned him 1, 2, 3, and I was talking to the wrestling geezer before that match went down, and he was bringing up the fact that Claudio might tap him out. I'm like, I kind of just want to see Claudio pin Moxley clean, and it sends Moxley into a spiral, and it's still very possible that Moxley can come back and eventually get to the finals. I don't think that's going to be the case. Um, but we could potentially be looking at Claudio being the new leader of the Death Riders.
Hell, I'm kind of on board because that's the thing we, as you said at the end of the day, with the stupid unified championship, we can still do Takeshita and Okada down the line, but have it for the my God, which one will it be? The international championship. That'll be the one if I can't remember now. But Okada will still have a belt even if he's to lose to Claudio, so we can still do
Oh,
Okada and Takeshita down the line. I'm You've like sold me now. Even just I didn't even I don't know why it didn't even come into my brain until you just said Claudio got the final, and then everything just sort of fell into place. And I was like, yeah, Claudio in the final. If he was to then win, that is a big statement for the Death Riders. So I'm kind of all in on that.
I see what you did there.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
Kyle Fletcher also picked up a win. I completely forgot who he beat this week. Um,
my God,
it-
yeah.
I completely forgot.
Was it Kevin Knight?
Yes, it was Kevin Knight.
Yeah,
It was Kevin Knight.
yeah.
Kevin Knight's still looking good in the tournament. He's putting on good matches. I do think Kyle Fletcher is somebody you don't have lose a match until like the semifinals when he
Mhm.
takes on Takeshita. You got to keep him looking strong. Don't have him lose to anybody that he doesn't need to lose to. So I think you keep that streak going. Um, and you know what? I'm completely fine if we get Claudio and Fletcher in the semifinals
I
as
was
well.
literally about to say that.
Um,
When you
oh
said that, I was
man,
like, my Claudia. Are we going back to like 2014 and we were all like, man, Cesaro's really good. Like, we've come back around 10 years later, been
yeah,
like, man, this Claudio guy is actually really good.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I'm glad Claudio's getting some shine
Yeah.
here in this tournament. Um, the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament finals are set for Winter is Coming. That is this coming Wednesday. That is going to be the Timeless Love Bombs taking on Harley, Cameron, and Willow Nightingale, the Babes of Wrath. Uh, I didn't expect this to be the finals, to be honest. I expected it to be Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir because we mentioned before that whoever wins that, multi-woman tag match at Full Gear probably won't win the semifinals match. We were completely wrong
Yep.
about that. And I am still sticking with the fact that I don't think the Timeless Love Bombs are walking away with the tag titles. I think that with this being the babyface versus babyface scenario, the Timeless Love Bombs are going to play more of the heel side than anything. They're a little bit more of the established team, while Willow and Harley are more of the underdog team. And I think they want that underdog payoff and that big pop because who doesn't love Willow and Harley? I think that they're going to end up winning those tag titles and beating the Timeless Love Bombs.
Yeah, I have a. It's not a major one in comparison to some of the stuff we complain about. I do have a bit of a little gripe with this because I just feel like if you'd had Shafir and Bane in the final, I think at that point either team could win, and I would be happy with either. Now with Babes of Wrath and the Timeless Love Bombs, it's a case of I don't want to say obvious because it's not obvious, especially when Tony Storm's involved. But for me, it has to be the Babes of Wrath that win because if the Timeless Love Bombs win, it's a bit they'll be great with it, but it's a bit like man, I wish we had gotten either the Babes of Wrath or Bane and Shafir or what they called again. My God, no, I completely forgot what they're called again. But either way, just someone different. Uh, that's like it's not the worst thing in the planet. That's the thing. I'm not sitting here being like, oh my god, they've completely ruined it. It's not. I just would have preferred to have had it been Bane and Shafir, so there was a little bit more mystique around the match to be like, literally either team could win here, because I wouldn't have been able to tell who was going to win at that point. Whereas this one, I am pretty certain it will be Babes of Wrath. However, I could well not be, but if it's not, and it is the time Storm Bombs, it's a little bit to me personally, it's a little bit like meh. Whereas, as I said, even if I had picked Babes of Wrath and they were going up against Bane and Shafir, if Bane and Shafir had won, I'd have been like, oh, that's cool. That's a bit different. So that's my only. It's not the. I'm not sitting here complaining, but this is the worst thing on the planet. Oh, they've completely ruined it. They haven't. It's just a little thing. I'm a bit like, man, I wish they'd done it a bit differently. But I understand them probably want to get Tony Storm on the pay per view somehow.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's definitely possible that the Timeless Love Bombs do win the tag titles here. Like you said, because it is Tony Storm at the end of the day. Um, and I like a lot of people love them. I obviously have my opinions on the Timeless gimmick, but I like Mina Shirakawa. I think she's entertaining,
Mhm.
and I think she's good in the ring as well. So that's a little bit of like a 50-50 with me as well.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm a fan of Mina Shirakawa, but Tony Storm, I'm a little bit iffy on. So I do think that the better option is Harley and Willow.
Yeah.
But we got to see where that goes for Winter is Coming. Um, they also announced that the Dynamite Diamond Ring Battle Royal is going to be coming back. So that sparks questions as well about if MJF is going to be coming back to defend that
Yeah.
ring. Um, I don't see them not bringing him back. I'm
Yep.
pretty certain that he's going to be back to defend that ring. And uh, whether or not he loses it, I'm not sure. But he uses that ring a lot, so it wouldn't make sense if they didn't bring him back for this.
Mhm.
Um, there was a thought in the back of my mind where I was like, maybe they won't. Maybe he's just not ready to come back yet. But he, I think he definitely will, and he'll come back to defend that ring. Um, we also have that's at the Holiday Bash show that they're doing as well. And then they also announced Dynamite on 34th Street and then Maximum Carnage as well. So a lot of things that were announced for AEW. But yeah, what are your thoughts on the Diamond Ring Battle Royal coming back?
Yeah, I'm in entire agreement. As soon as he said this, it's MJF because he is synonymous with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. He's the only person to have had it. And as soon as he said, I was like, yeah, MJF's coming back. So totally agree. And plus, for me, I mean, I absolutely adore MJF. My life is better when MJF is on my screen. So and abusing me through this the camera lens. So yeah, I totally agree. Total agreement. I think this is the catalyst for MJF coming back, which will be a good day for everyone.
Absolutely. Um, so other AEW news. So they had, and I hate to make fun of someone's very unfortunate state, but on Dynamite they showed a footage of Darby Allin in the hospital, and since when do we have surveillance cameras in fucking hospital rooms? What it was just so weird to watch, and I was like, since when do we do this? Like he's just
Yeah.
like laying there helpless, and we're just filming this guy, and um from what I'm hearing, Darby Allin is legitimately injured.
Yep.
The guy's human after all. He does get injured because all of the craziness that he's been doing, those what was it, second, third degree burns that he had,
Mm.
were legitimate and he was wrestling with that and it's catching up to him. At some point in time in your career, it will catch up to you when you do things as crazy as Darby Allin does. So, all the best for his recovery. That angle on Dynamite was very awkward and weird, and I kind of had to laugh a little bit. And I felt so bad laughing because I love Darby Allin, and it's very unfortunate that he's hurt. But man, why did we have to film the guy in the fucking hospital?
That's what I was the same reaction. I was like, this isn't funny, but I'm laughing because of how sh ridiculous this is. Yeah, because I was like, I was like what you said. I think a lot of people at the beginning, as soon as they showed this, everyone was like, surely this is a storyline. Like, surely this is an angle. Why are we doing this? But I'm with you. I've read the reports that came out that no, he is legit hot. So why are we filming the poor man on a hospital bed? I don't know. It is a weird one, but yeah, I hope the best of Darby. Come back soon. They said the guy is a monster. But yeah, time does start to catch up with us.
Yep. So let's talk about a little bit of what happened on Ring of Honor Final Battle. So obviously I've mentioned this before. I don't really watch Ring of Honor. I am getting the inclination though that I probably should start. Because there's been a lot of people just talking about it, and a couple of people, saying that Ring of Honor is taking a step in the right direction now, and it's getting a little bit better in terms of the talent, especially because of Final Battle last night. So I don't know. I watch a lot of wrestling as is, so I really don't know if I can keep up with Ring of Honor. Maybe just the pay-per-views or whatever that I'll watch. Um, but firstly, like obviously we had the 0 hour, nothing really important happened on there. But Deonna Purrazzo wins the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship. Um, Going into this, I was saying, and like while I don't watch Ring of Honor, I still keep tabs on everything going on a little bit. And Deonna Purrazzo's run in AEW Ring of Honor has been subpar and hasn't been really good. So I think that she needed to win this title because if she didn't, I was like, go to TNA, be with Steve Macklin, and you're gonna be a main event star over there in TNA. So I'm glad they gave her the Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship. She defeated Billy Starks to win the title. So yeah, good for her. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm with you in the fact that like Deonna Purrazzo is someone who is fantastic, but yeah, I've not been the most blown away with her. And like you said, it's AEW slash Ring of Honor. I've also seen a bit more of the AEW stuff. I'm with you. Like, I don't watch Ring of Honor. I did when I went through my like trying to watch everything indie phase in like 2017, 18 time. But yeah, I just got so much to watch now that so I keep up with all the results, and I've seen a few clips on Twitter and on TikTok doing the rounds. Um, Overall, I mean, I personally think I still would have gone with Billy Starks. But I mean, it's cool for Diona. And as you said, for a glorious think it's something like 100 minutes there. On Steve Macklin were both champions at the same time for a very short bit of time. But no, it's good for her. I hope she can do something with it and keep and kind of build on what she's like started here. Um, and get something like because yeah, she is fantastic, and she's had a bit of a rubbish time with it over the last couple of years in wrestling and been a bit all over the place. So hopefully this gives us something to kind of get our teeth into and get nailed down.
Yeah. Lee Moriarty defeated Nigel McGuinness in sudden death overtime in a 30-minute Iron Man match. Obviously, that's not one we can really talk about because we didn't see how the match played down. I can imagine it was a really good match, though,
Yeah.
with it going that long into sudden death overtime. Um, we had that. We had so this match was a shock to a lot of people. To me, it was not. Red Velvet defeats Mercedes Moné to win the Ring of Honor Women's World Television Championship. Now, I mentioned this earlier this week, and I do so many goddamn shows that I don't remember where I mentioned this on, but I mentioned that on Dynamite, Mercedes Moné was throwing a tantrum. She looked like she was losing
Hmm.
it, and we should start by her losing to Red Velvet on Final Battle. And, she fully starts to melt and lose these titles one by one. That is exactly what they did. Red Velvet defeats
Hmm.
Mercedes Moné, and um, a lot of people don't like this. I think this was the correct move. I think this
Yep.
was the right move because at some point in time, you got to have her start dropping these titles and start having, I guess, the downfall of Mercedes Moné. And I think ultimately the TBS title is going to be the last one that she drops. Right now, I don't really know who she's going to drop that to. I can't really like decipher who it'll be at the moment because we have the women's tag title scene going on. Um, but yeah, I'm all for this. And I think this is when I saw that they were doing this match again, I was like, this has got to be Red Velvet winning that title because of what we saw in Dynamite.
Yes, can call it. You predicted that bang on, and I'm all for it. The start of the downfall of the Monet character because as you said, she has to start losing at some point, and I think now's the time she's lost back to back. She's lost to Chris Statlander in the AEW Women's World Championship match. She's now lost to Red Velvet. She's out of the tag team title tournament. I think it starts here. She is also, and I believe, is it next week? Is it she's defending the Rev Pro Women's title against Rio? I believe here in the UK. Um, high possibility she loses that. I believe it's Rio anyway. Um,
I don't know.
because Rio is freaking amazing. I'm not just saying that because she's the ICW World Heavyweight Champion. She is amazing. Over in the you'll be seeing a lot more of Rio as the time goes on. Trust me. I think there's a high possibility she loses that Rev Pro Women's Championship as well. Um, so I think it's starting. But I'm totally with you. If this is the beginning of it, I think the TBS it's got to be the final one. That's the
Yeah,
big moment of her finally losing that. Actually, to who? God knows. But yeah, I'm all for it at the minute.
yeah, absolutely. Sammy Guevara and Beast Mortos defeated Dynamite Kid, Tommy Billington, and Adam Priest to win those tag titles. Um, Tony Khan just loves Sammy Guevara apparently. And he's a young guy that can flip, so sure, why not? Um, Not much I have to add on to that. I doubt that you have much to throw onto that.
Yeah, I don't really. I mean, it's cool for Beast Mortos because he's incredible. So is I mean, Sammy, as I said, he's class as well. But yeah, I'm happy for Mortos. But yeah, it's not too much more to go off of it.
Yeah. Eddie Kingston defeated Josh Woods. I don't know why that happened. Um, I don't know why that match took place. Um, That's actually one thing I forgot to bring up. Eddie Kingston. Let's talk about that. What the hell has he done to earn an AEW World Title shot? Look, I get that everybody loves Eddie Kingston, but what happened to actually earning title shots? You could have just done a non-title match with him and Joe. That didn't have to be for the title this coming Wednesday. It doesn't have to be. And I think Eddie Kingston is someone who has like 1 to 2 years left in professional wrestling, and I think that he's hanging up the boots after that. But that match doesn't need to be for the AEW World Title.
Yeah, it's kind of just come out of nowhere. I guess coming back from like a 2 year injuries enough, maybe. I don't know. I said the match was bang because Eddie Kingston and Joe, but yeah, I said reasoning wise, there's not exactly much to go off of.
Yeah. Shane Taylor Promotions defeated Skyflight to retain the six-man tag team championship. Ricochet defeated Dalton Castle to retain the national championship. Um, Kind of expected that. And Bandito retained the Ring of Honor World Championship in the Survival of the Fittest match. Um, so seemed like it was a good show. Oh, Athena also defeated Persephone to retain the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship as well. So she's gonna hold that for the rest of her life, apparently. So uh, yeah, seemed like it was a good show. I don't know if I'm gonna get the time to even watch it back. Maybe if I get, time this weekend or, tomorrow, whatever the case may be. I'll check it out. But yeah, that was Ring of Honor Final Battle. Do you have any final thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm in the same position as you as well. Like, I haven't seen it, just from what I've seen, but I've heard a lot of what you've was saying earlier, and people saying how good Ring of Honor is getting now. And it's like one of these ones where like I really probably should give it a watch and check out, but it's just try to fit it in. There's so much to try and do. Try to fit it. Oh, it's already hard enough trying to just do WWE, especially around work. Never mind adding in AEW, TNA. I've become a big fan of AAA this year as well, so I watch all the AAA ones as well. So it does get hard, but yeah, maybe Ring of Honor, at least for maybe the pay-per-views, can maybe start giving it a watch.
So one of the bigger stories coming out of this week is that Netflix has officially bought and won the bidding war for Warner Bros. Discovery. Now, this obviously ties into wrestling because of the WWE AEW stuff. I am a nerd and a dork, so I look into these kind of things. I like this option for Warner Bros. Than the alternative, which was Paramount, because I don't like Paramount, especially with the political routes that they take. I don't like them at all, so I'm glad that that wasn't the case. I will say though, I am like getting slightly tired of like 2 to 3 companies owning every single company in the world. And it's just like, man, this is taking away jobs from like writers and, other people that work in those fields. And it's limiting a lot of jobs for people. So I I get that it makes things easier and cheaper for people, and they get everything in 1 or 2 spots rather than having to pay separately for multiple different things. So Netflix is now getting the DC stuff, they're getting the Harry Potter stuff, Game of Thrones, all that stuff is going to be there on Netflix at some point in time. Obviously, for us wrestling fans, the biggest question is, what does this do for AEW? Now, personally, I think that TBS and TNT are just going to play a bigger role in keeping AEW, because obviously HBO Max is going to be gone very soon, and that's going away. So I do think that in terms of the weekly TV shows, TBS and TNT is going to keep Dynamite, and even if AEW were to end up on Netflix, I don't think it's going to be until like the tail end of 2026 or maybe even like 2027. Um, and uh, yeah, it's gonna be. I don't think that we have to really worry about AEW being on Netflix anytime soon. That's just the way I'm reading into it. But we will have, the DC stuff coming to Netflix, which, what makes my life a lot easier. Because I am a fan of the DC stuff and the Marvel things and whatnot. And they already have some DC things on Netflix, but not like any of the good things. Um, I don't watch or read Harry Potter, so I don't really care about that stuff. But yeah, this is very interesting stuff. And, I got the official notification this morning that Warner Bros. Is officially a part of Netflix. So yeah. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I also mentioned to you before we came on that I wasn't 100% sure what it meant, but from what I've seen from firstly you just reading about there and other wrestling journalists that I've listened to and speak about this, is the fact that you just see the title when you're like, oh my God, AEW and WWE are going to be on Netflix, but from what I've gathered, I said it's not going to be for at least quite a while. On the one hand, it makes it easier because that's one. As much as people can think what they want to think with the TKO merger alongside going on to Netflix, it has made watching WWE incredibly straightforward. Every single week, I just click on Netflix and it's there. Which has been a lot of fun. So it will be easy with AEW being able to do it as well eventually if they move over. But I said that's going to be quite a while. But I mean, it is cool. Um, I said what we'll get over here. I mean, as you can imagine, UK Netflix, we already have the Harry Potters on here because of course we do. So that doesn't change it. But I know there's a new series I think that's coming out. I think that was on HBO Max or meant to be. Um, Something anyway like that. I can't quite remember. But yeah, that you get all the DC stuff, which would be cool. I'm a big DC fan myself. So yeah, I think it'll be cool and it's an interesting time to see where it goes. And he said from the wrestling sphere as well. I'm not going to go as far. You're going to get some people who are going to be like, "Oh my God, we're going to get the crossover." No, we're not. That ain't happening. No chance in hell, as Vince McMahon likes to say. That ain't happening. But I don't know. It'll be cool to see when it over the next couple of years. It'll be an interesting space.
Yeah, AEW is going to stay as far away from WWE as they can. They're
Oh
going
yeah,
to do anything they can to do that. And I think WWE is going to do the exact same thing. Um, I think that's going to be the one thing WWE and AEW are in agreement with. Because I can't imagine the chaos if we have a WWE and AEW pay-per-view on the same day and they're both on Netflix. Like, I
man.
can't imagine that chaos. And honestly, I think Netflix might just crash if that was the case. Um, but yeah, I think that this could be really good for Warner Bros. As well. It's possible that HBO Max goes away and they also become a part of Netflix and their content over there is brought over to Netflix also. But yeah, a lot of interesting things that go into the Netflix and Warner Bros. Deal. But for anybody that was worried that AEW might be going over to Netflix, I don't think that's going to be the case anytime soon. Um, Down the road in a couple of years, potentially. Um, but as of right now, that's not going to happen. But we do have more TV deal announcements that came from this week. That is that TNA Wrestling is going to be on AMC starting on January 15th. Um, I believe it's January 15th is the day. And I I'm gonna speak about this first before I speak about the actual like details of the deal itself. Um, so they're doing the AMC debut for TNA Impact on the Thursday. On the Saturday is TNA Genesis. So I don't understand why they would do that, back to back, and why you couldn't just have, even just a special live episode on, your AMC premiere and uh maybe you just have Genesis on the Thursday. Do your 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours special, maybe, and have that on the Thursday. Have AMC be, your biggest deal possible. Um, but that's just my thoughts on that side of things. Um, so AMC, for those that don't know what AMC is, this once upon a time was a movie channel. So that's interesting, but you know what? AMC is a lot of bigger deal than Access TV and the other like music channels that TNA used to be on. Um, this is much bigger deal. This is going to give them a lot more exposure, and they need to capitalize on this, and they need to capitalize on this exposure. And I obviously TNA is in a rough spot at the moment with how they book certain things and just their overall content distribution because for those that don't watch TNA consistently, they don't run weekly shows. They run like 2 to 3 shows. They air like 2 to 3 shows a month. They don't do it weekly like how AEW and WWE does. I don't know if that's going to change with the AMC deal and if they are going to start doing it weekly on Thursdays. But usually they have some stuff taped. Based on the details of the AMC deal, it's a mix of live and taped events that's going to be happening. Obviously, the debut on AMC is going to be live, and I can imagine after that it's going to be taped. Uh, yeah, so a lot of interesting things, and um, I want to throw out a couple more things before I hand it over to you. With me mentioning that this is a big deal, they need to reach out to some people. They need to reach out to some free agents and get them in TNA and get more eyes on TNA. And the first name that comes to mind is Killer Cross. They need to get Killer Cross in TNA. And I think that it's a good possibility that they can. And they're going to be thrown into the main event scene on TNA for sure. Or maybe start off with the X Division stuff, but Killer Cross will do good in TNA, and TNA he'll do good for TNA on AMC. And another one that I'm going to throw out there is they should reach out. They should at least try for Chris Jericho and get him there for even 6 months. Get him there for 6 months, and then he can go over to WWE and do his retirement thing or whatever. But those are the two. If I'm TNA, I'm going on AMC. I need, big names. I need, people to actually watch my show. I'd be talking to Killer Cross and Chris Jericho and some other American independent talents.
That was very interesting. Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong. AMC, that's the channel that did the likes of Walking Dead and Breaking Bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just bigger than Axis and all that. Anyway, so it was good for them. I also believe I know there's been all the questions around contracts currently, and what is going on with TNA. So hopefully now this seems like they'll be able to actually provide new contracts and bigger contracts, hopefully, for their talent because they deserve it, especially how much shit they have to go through at the minute with TNA. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. I totally understand your point about Genesis. Yeah, I agree. I don't know why you're doing it the way they are, but TNA is going to TNA. That's the usual. That I don't think that's going to change. But I totally agree with the fact that I think they do need some bigger stars because even though, as you said, stars who are big to the likes of us, like Santana and all that, we know this guy, this man is a star. To the casual audience, maybe not so much. And someone like I think a Killer Cross, former Carrion and Scarlett would be a great shout. Obviously, been there before, former TNA or Impact champion at the time. I can't remember what one it was at that point. Um, I think that's a good shout. The Jericho one's a mad shout. I personally don't think that would happen. However, if it did happen, you're correct because I would be watching it. I think a lot of people would. Um, that would bring them in. So as you said, why not at least ask? That's a hell of a shout to get Jericho and TNA. But yeah, I think they need to do that. They need to put all they really need to sell, especially the debut. Like try and get as many eyes in it. I'm sure WWE will help somehow. Though I did see a thing potentially about like maybe this is a potential end of the partnership or something. Between WWE and TNA, I don't think so. I'm so low-key certain WWE just owns them behind the scenes anyway. That's okay. So I don't think that is a thing, but I'm sure WWE will help to promote this and make it as big a deal as it can be because it should be. Because that's why it's so frustrating, TNA. This is why I know why you love it. It's the same for me and why it's so frustrating. It's like when it's good, TNA is really good. The issue is right now, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Well, some stuff's all right. And that is very so. I want anything that's a positive for TNA. I want that to happen. So it'll be cool to see going forward for them.
Yeah, with the Chris Jericho thing, I don't think it's going to happen either. But if you are a company that's going to a new
Hmm.
cable, company and a bigger cable company, you should be talking to Chris Jericho. You should be reaching out and at least
Yeah,
trying. And you never know. Maybe he ends up saying yes, and maybe he's like, yeah, I'll do 6 months in TNA, then I'll go over to WWE.
yeah,
So I think that's definitely something that they should be talking about. And again, bring as many, as much American independent talent. And obviously, I'll advocate for Ontario independent wrestlers as well. Um, but just some bigger stars on the American independent scene. You should be bringing in just to get more eyes on your product. Uh, but yeah, that's TNA on AMC. So hopefully they step up things a bit because TNA has the talent, right? If you watch Final Resolution and you look at a match like Order 4 versus the Rascals, fantastic match. Holy shit, that was a good match.
hmm
Um, so good, and like they have the talent. It's just the writing and the booking isn't the best, right? They have certain segments that are like, okay, this is stupid. And it's just we've got to the point where it's like you say, lol TNA. This is what TNA does. Once upon a time we expected good from TNA. Now we just expect terrible from TNA. We're not surprised when we get terrible. And they need to change that really quickly. And I think them going to AMC is their chance and their opportunity to turn things around.
yeah, totally agree.
Um, so the last topic that we have to talk about on the headlines today is something that's been floating around, and that's the fact that uh, people are under the assumption that John Cena will be kicking off Saturday night's main event on his retirement tour because nowadays people just look at clips online and they don't listen to the entire clip or they don't watch the full interview. But John Cena was on Jimmy Kimmel, and I guess he said that he would enjoy kicking off the show in some shape or form to give, the NXT talent a lot more time to shine. Um, but then he even said in the interview, that same interview, that he is more than likely closing the show. So I think we need to start listening to these interviews a lot more and start paying more attention because why on God's green earth would John Cena be opening the show on his retirement tour? Because a lot of people, and there's people that I know in Canada that are traveling to Washington, D.C. to see John Cena's final match. As soon as Cena's match is over, people are turning off the TV, people are leaving the arena because a lot of people don't watch NXT. And a lot of people aren't going to be interested in that. Sure, you have Cody Rhodes on this show, and people are going to want to whoa or whatever, but it's not really going to matter because people are there to see John Cena and his final match. If you kick off with that, and I would hope WWE is smart enough to know that if you kick off with that, no one's gonna care about the rest of the show. So I am. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna guarantee that he's main eventing, but it is almost a guarantee that John Cena is closing the show, and they're gonna give him the time. It's probably gonna be like 3 matches. That's main roster for his NXT, and then it's gonna be Cena's match. They're gonna give them a lot of time, and hopefully he gets his retirement speech. The only way I thought that he would be kicking off the show is because they can get all the time possible for John Cena, but I still don't think that's going to be the case.
No, I didn't even know that some people had been saying this. That's why I was laughing halfway through that. Because what universe is John Cena not closing the show on the John Cena retirement show? What? Mentalist. And I would also like to advocate, as you said, people need to start listening to these interviews. People also need to start listening to TikToks when we do them as well before leaving a comment. I always like to try and rage bait people by saying something ridiculous and seeing how many folk comment before I say just joking, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's mental. Yeah, if you, I don't know why. They aren't gonna Goldbergs. That's the one thing I can be certain of. That's not going to happen. Cena will get his time at the end of the show. As you said, like maybe it depends on how long the show's going to be. Like maybe Cena, as you said, comes out and does a really quick, like couple minute promo just to thank everyone for coming. But why he could also just do that at the end.
Yeah.
So I don't know. In that sense, he's not. Yeah, Gunfons, especially if that match is going to go the way that myself and I'm assuming you are thinking it's going to go. It's not exactly going to be a fun fairy tale ending. I don't think that's a great way to open the show with. So
Yeah.
I do not see that at all.
Now, this was something that I heard. I was listening to some other podcast last night after Final Resolution, and they brought up something very interesting. And I wanted to run this question by you. Would it hurt Gunther if John Cena beat him in his final match?
Um, the answer I'm going to say no. I don't think it would hurt him because Gunther's Gunther.
Yeah.
He's at that point, but like I think there's so much more that you'd be taking away that you can build Gunther's character off of
Yeah.
if you didn't do that. I think I'd be fine. I don't think this isn't a make or break match for Gunther. He will still go on to be a multi-time world champion and probably eventually Hall of Famer, even if he loses to
Yeah.
John Cena. Um, no, I don't think it would hurt him. I just think there's a lot of just the backing and storylines that you could do off the back of this um that you could no longer do if Gunther was to lose. And I think in that sense that will hurt Gunther. Just maybe in the imminent future. Kind of similar to him tapping out to Jey Uso. It didn't hurt Gunther. It hasn't hurt Gunther.
Yeah.
But for that month period, it was a bit like, why is Gunther tapped to Jey? So I even seen that got brought up today on Facebook of all places. Someone was like, the man that tapped out to Jey Uso shouldn't be John Cena's final opponent, and I'm like, oh man, how annoying is that? So yeah, like I don't think it would hurt Gunther. However, I think he in at least near future, in the imminent future, it would hurt certain storylines that he could be a part of, which would be really really good to play off of.
Yeah. So I'm still gonna go with Gunther to beat him.
Yeah,
And I was thinking about the multiple different like outcomes, and I was like, it is possible they send Cena off happy, they send the fans off happy, and Cena beats Gunther because realistically, like you said, Gunther doesn't have anything to lose except the title that he retired John Cena and Goldberg within,
yeah,
months of each other.
yeah.
And I think that's the best option. Now, here's a crazy stat for you. The last time John Cena has tapped out was 2003. Um, so I don't know if he taps out and that's, the final, like he's done, it's time he retires, he's tapped out finally, or maybe he just passes out. And I think him passing out is more likely. I still don't see Cena tapping out. I don't see it. I think he's gonna pass out and he's gonna be left, just laying there. As much as I want blood, I don't know if they're gonna do blood.
Yeah.
I want it, but I don't know if they're gonna do it. It'll be up to Cena. If Cena wants to do it, they'll probably end up doing it. Um, but I I don't think that they will. It's a Saturday night's main event. It's on, Peacock or whatever. It's not on NBC anymore. But I don't know. There's going to be a lot of kids there to see Cena's final match as well. And
Yeah.
we know how WWE is with, kids and, blood and stuff like that. So as much as I want to see blood, I don't know if we will get it. But um, yeah, it was some like interesting things to throw out there about Cena's final match and different outcomes in it. But in the end, we're still both going with Gunther. I think that makes the most sense for Gunther to win because, Gunther's going to be here, Cena won't be here. it just makes sense for him to go into the next episode of Monday Night Raw being like, I beat John Cena, and he just brags about it. Um, but like he also hasn't even bragged about retiring Goldberg, so maybe he doesn't brag about Cena for too long. Maybe he's just like this is just what I do. Like you
Mhm.
guys are acting shocked that I retired John Cena. This is just what I do. I'm Gunther, I'm the ring general. I retire people, I put people down, and that's probably what the promo is going to be on Raw.
Yeah, a lot to unfold there because I totally agree in multiple sides of it. Firstly, I suppose the part is I can may as well get this out now because obviously unfortunately I won't be here this coming week to do anything to talk about Saturday's main event. But so yeah, I think it's been good for. I thought it was good for from the start. I didn't think there was ever a chance of him losing. And yeah, there's definitely a big difference we have to emphasize between what I want to happen and what I think is going to happen. I want blood. I do not think we're going to get it. Um, though the one thing I will say, you're saying about like the tap out and all that, yeah, at the beginning, I remember when John Cena first announced this tour, um, I thought, oh, maybe we eventually get it. I don't see Cena tapping out. I think it will be uh him passing out, and again, all the kind of metaphors coming of finally closing the book, him closing his eyes, going to sleep on his career. I think Cena's going to be passing out. I was very surprised they made LA Knight tap out last night, by the way, on a side note. Um, don't know how I feel about that specifically. I was very shocked about that one, but
No,
whatever.
he's not gonna win a world title anytime soon. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't think it hurts him in any shape or form that they've already hurt LA Knight.
that's a good that.
I think it. I wasn't surprised to see him tap out, to be honest. I was thinking that he might just pass out, but they had him tap out. They want to make Gunther look as dominant as possible
Mm,
going into this
yeah.
match with Cena. Um, and again, I don't think LA Knight's gonna win anything significant anytime soon,
Uh,
unfortunately.
yeah,
As
I've done
good
the
as he's
180.
been, and honestly, he was somebody I've been praising over the past few weeks on his promo work in this last time is now tournament. And um, while it doesn't make sense for LA Knight to win and had beat Gunther, um, he did what he could in this tournament, and I want to believe that his promo work is the reason he got to the finals and he beat Jey Uso. So I nothing to be ashamed of for LA Knight. I think he did a phenomenal job. You know, with his promo work and all that stuff. So I hope he gets something, man. I hope they give him something, but I doubt it.
Yeah, I'm currently. I've always been in the camp of like, oh, LA Knight will be fine. I've done a 180, been like, I don't know if LA Knight is going to be fine. It switched around, but yeah, no, actually, it is a very good point. But yeah, to go back to the Gunther thing, yeah, I think bang on. Actually got a really good point there about how Gunther will present himself. As you said, everyone's been thrown around this sort of the moniker of him becoming the new Legend Killer, which is watch out AJ Styles, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton, and Rey Mysterio over the next couple of years because I can see them be giving that to Gunther as well if that's what's going to go down. If they were, I think you are totally correct. Though I don't see Gunther going around being like, "I'm the Legend Killer." I think that's a moniker that the fans are going to be giving him or management. I said I don't think that's something that Gunther himself will take that title because I think you're right. I think you're like, why are you surprised?
Yeah.
I'm Gunther. I am, and this is what I kept saying to a lot of people. I was saying it to a few people last night in the live, and the fact that I agree with the fact that Gunther probably doesn't need this. Gunther, and that's what comes back to that whole like Gunther won't be harmed because he is Gunther. He's a multi-time world champion, and he'll continue to be another multi-time world champion. The difference is how I think WWE sort of perceive Gunther, in the fact that he isn't a Damian Priest. He isn't going to be someone who's a 1 or 2 time world champion. You've always had your top guys. Rey Mysterio was a top guy. Jeff Hardy was a top guy. All this, and then you get your mega stars. You get your Roman Reigns. You get your Cody Rhodes. You get your John Cena's. That's the level that I think WWE sees in Gunther. Like if we go back to 2014 when Brock beat the streak, like Brock didn't need that. But Brock beating the streak at least until 2017, it put him in a category all by himself. This level above everyone. And this is almost similar to what I think they could do for Gunther. Because I say Gunther could just not be John Cena's final opponent and it be someone else, and Gunther will still be Gunther. Like it's not going to change much. But him being John Cena's final opponent and beating Cena puts Gunther in a category above everyone else to the point that this is a guy who'll be around for the next, especially when we talk about all the time the the ever aging level of the roster.
Yeah.
Gunther's someone who will be around on top for the next 10 to 15 years even. Um, depending if he stays healthy enough. So that is what I keep explaining to people, being like, this isn't just Gunther being like, oh, we need to make Gunther a top star. Gunther is a top star. This is making Gunther the freaking star at the top.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, that's the headlines in pro wrestling this week. That is all that we have to cover for this episode. NXT deadline starts in just under 2 hours. So at least the pre-show does. I know Rue's not gonna really care about the pre-show, but I have to have it on just for coverage purposes, even though I know nothing's gonna happen. So I'm gonna be sorting out dinner and all that stuff while the pre-show is going on, and then posting this as quick as I can. Um, but yeah, as always, we want to know what you guys have to say, what your thoughts are on all the topics that we talked about here today. So let us know down in the comments whether you're listening on YouTube and Spotify. Rue, let them know where they can find you.
Yeah, find me on Raw on Wrestling and TikTok and YouTube. Been posting a lot more to YouTube. Actually, the subscribers on YouTube been jumping up quite a lot the last couple of days, randomly. So thank you to everyone who's subbing over there. Yeah, and I said TikTok post multiple different videos. I will be live on TikTok tonight. I was live last night for SmackDown. I'll be live tonight for NXT Deadline as well. Should be a fun show. Looking forward to it.
Sweet. And obviously, you guys know where you can find me. All the links are down in the description, whether it be Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook. I'm on everything. So check out all the links down in the description and follow me over to there. Yeah, check out the Kayfabe Central website. I will be doing live coverage for NXT Deadline tonight. And yeah, go check out Rue's live as well on TikTok and join up his live also. Just get the full Kayfabe Central experience. Keep tabs on my coverage posts and join his live while watching NXT Deadline. You'll have a
Exactly.
fantastic night. Make sure you guys go check all that stuff out. I will be back later tonight with the NXT Deadline post show review as well. So make sure you guys have your notifications on so you are notified when that is posted and uploaded. Yeah, so with that being said, I will see you guys on the next one. And until then, take it easy.